Hey, this is Ramon, Channel Alpha 4, and this is part of my Bible study. This is chapter 20 of Genesis. If you're wondering why the headset, my microphone went out, and I just went on a very expensive trip for a wedding for an old high school friend, and he went all out, which meant the hotel and everything was very expensive, which means I'm now a little broke. So, anyway, let's rock and roll. First, the recap. Abraham is at Gerar, and Sarah, the matriarch, is endangered again. Okay? So that's the recap. Let's get to the notes. So this story would fit better back in chapter 12. Here we get to Kadesh, and Kadesh is a major historical site. So just mention it picks up the historicity of the story, because because the place itself is very important to history. Kadesh is super important for ancient battles. So when you mention that name to the ancient ears, that would be like, oh, I know that place. I know what's going on here. It's like if you name a specific event during our time, or a specific place that's tied to a major event, it adds more realness to the story, veracity to the story. I have a bad headache, okay? So I'm not going to be talking as intelligently as I normally do. Hopefully less halting speech. We also get an introduction to what I'm going to say is a recurring character. You get Abimelech. Okay, for any of my Jewish listeners, the H on the end of words sound right? Because that's what I've been doing. I don't know if that's right. So if I'm just being a jackass, if I'm being dumb, let me know if I'm being dumb, if I'm being an idiot. Okay, so Abimelech, he doesn't get a lot of development here, but he gets mentioned repeatedly. And for all the lack of detail in his character, he still is very sympathetic. And even if he's not a good guy, he's at least not evil. The road that they're on, Shur, is a road that leads from Egypt to the Promised Land and back. If you're coming out of Egypt or going into Egypt, this is the road that you'd have to take. So this was a very important road at that time. Abraham here is also labeled as a prophet for the first time. And it turns out that in Abraham's dealing with Abimelech, it turns out that that him and Sarah are half siblings. So there you go. I don't know if this is to make the original lie not a lie, or if this is a revelation to kind of color the story going forward, that he kept his bloodline pure. Then we also get another revelation when it comes to the consequences that Abimelech would have to face because of this mistruth. And it's that deeds, not intention, matter. So this is a very different message when you get to the New Testament. If you're a Christian, or if you're just reading through the Bible and you want to read the New Testament, you'll see an evolution of the understanding of piety and the understanding of religion, and a revolution of this kind of theology and of thought in Christianity when Jesus starts speaking. And he'll turn this on the head and say, intent matters. Like, it's not just what you do, it's what you intend to do. So they both matter together. So it's not that deeds don't matter, it's that deeds and intention matter. But here, intention doesn't matter, just the deeds, just the actions. And being blameless of an event does not automatically free oneself from the consequences of that event or of that action. So something happens, and you have nothing to do with it, even if you're not to blame, that doesn't free you from the consequences of that event happening. And so this is taking on responsibility not just for yourself, but for the whole community kind of thing. Okay? And then we have, the rule here is that you need to honor a single deity with prayer, ritual, and obedience. So honor, prayer, ritual, and obedience are the key tenets here in a pre-Israelic Hebrewic theology. I hope I said that right. Okay, so now I have some questions for you. I've been trying to organize my notes, so going forward, I have questions. So for anyone listening, please answer these below. Why was Abraham being deceitful? And is fear a rational or ethical reason for sin? And if so, is there ever, or either way, if so or if not, is there ever a ethical reason to lie? Is it ever ethical to lie? And for those who are familiar with the term, and the PC people won't like this, but it's what, when I was a kid, what they would call white lies. Is there really such a thing? Or is a lie a lie? So, and then lastly, what is the Jewish significance of Abraham? Not the Christian significance, not even the Muslim significance. No, I'm asking, what is the Jewish significance of Abraham? A lot of us, especially Christians and even Muslims, will read these Old Testament stories and will apply our meaning, our understanding to these characters. And that's a mistake. These were originally Jewish stories. And so if you're going to read these Semitic stories, you need to see it through a Semitic lens and understand that historically, the things that have happened since then were not happening when this was written. They weren't happening when it was spoken for the first time. Whatever traditions synchronized together to create the story that we have written down, those stories were created long before the advent of Christianity, long before the advent of Islam. So you need to ask yourself, what were the Jewish writers who were writing this story trying to say? So what is the significance of Abraham to the Jewish people? All right, that's it. See you in the next video. Peace, like, subscribe, comment down below. Answer these questions, people. Let's get a dialogue going.